Class is in session. This is Professor Ganymede. In this video, I want to talk about the video you might have seen on Reddit. It's called Vindication, and it was by DPSstanky. He is a Lucio player who made it to Grandmaster just solo queue, and I wanted to talk about that. Just a little update. I'm almost done with my 10,000 subscriber videos. Video reviews. I have 2 more left, and then I will be uploading them one day at a time every time I upload a separate video. So I won't flood the channel with a bunch of videos at once. I think there's like 10 or so of them left. And also, I'm going to be releasing the giveaway for, again, the book Arlington by my friend Winston. People have already said who wants it, and I'll be announcing that in future videos. But let's get back to this current video. So we have here, and I have a little bit of his gameplay right now. We have DPSstanky, and he is that Lucio player that made it to Grandmaster. Now, the thing about DPSstanky's playstyle is he plays a very DPS focused playstyle. What I've noticed from watching him, and I've been watching him in the past few days, watching his stream and watching his gameplay at these high levels and high masters and near grandmasters, is that he focuses heavily on his relationship to the enemy. As in, he doesn't put that much emphasis on his team. Like, he doesn't pay attention to his team much. Now, he'll use speed buff to make them go in to make a big play and all, and try to do a push like Lucio's supposed to do. But a lot of his attention is focused on what the enemy team is doing and how he should be positioned in regards to the enemy. This is a very big very distinctly different from what I teach my viewers to play, which is kind of like a UAV kind of hybrid play style where they play back, try to get eyes on everything, try to support their teammates with healing, with speed buff when necessary, trying to knock back at opportune moments. But he just goes in. He is much more aggressive. He takes this kind of, I call it like, he plays this pseudo Genji, right? He's in and out, he's harassing, he's breaking up enemy team's line, he's knocking people back, and he's trying to kill people specifically. So, like, and this is really good for solo queue or for competitive play, just because you can really run roughshod if you're good enough to not die and do all these things, DPS oriented. But I actually don't, even though this is probably the most effective play style when it comes to competitive, when it comes to Rising, because the nature of a game like this with so many people, you need to kill the enemy team. You need to throw them off of balance. You need to secure kills. You need to be this aggressive in order to carry. Now, you can be the perfect support player. You can be the perfect team player. But if your team isn't good enough to take advantage of what you're providing, then without going in and getting those kills yourself, you're not going to be able to carry. He turns Lucio into a Genji, into a pseudo Genji, into a DPS player, which is why he can carry. Which is also why I don't like this playstyle. I play support. When I say support, I mean winning the game by very effectively enabling your teammates to do everything they need to do to win. Enabling my teammates to get those kills by speeding them into combat, or by enabling my team not to die by speeding them out of combat, or by healing them when they need it, or by giving them that sound barrier so they can go do a good ultimate. And that's what a support is to me, but he doesn't really play a support. He is DPS. Like, he basically just turned Lucio into a Genji with less damage that can heal, and with instead of his ultimate being a kill ultimate is like more of a shield ultimate, which he uses to get kills, so he can secure kills. So I don't like this playstyle. Now, I'm going to be learning this playstyle. I'm going to be practicing this playstyle just because it's obviously the most effective playstyle for carrying in competitive. Now, if you watch tournaments, the Lucios in tournaments won't be doing this, obviously, because the enemy team, the people they're facing are a lot more coordinated. They'll collapse on the Lucio if he tries to run in and do any of this. They'll turn around and destroy him, which is why you never see Lucios in tournaments doing this. But in games where both teams are uncoordinated, even even in high level, even near grandmasters, teams aren't coordinated enough to just turn around and collapse on him. This is very good, especially since he's so hard to hit, since he juggles his cross rates so often, shifting his momentum. And using his wall climbing ability to make him so hard to hit, he could really run rush shot over teams that are exceptionally coordinated. Which is why he probably won't find. I mean, he only plays Lucio. You probably won't find a pro team either way. But again, this is probably the best playstyle when it comes to carrying solo queue or carrying competitive games at all. Because I've seen him use being a 3-stack as well, just from time to time. But he soloed his way to Grandmaster. So. Like I said, I'm going to be learning this playstyle so I can teach it to my viewers, so they can, because this is the most effective way to rise, and I know exactly why this playstyle is good. Like I don't need to be as good as him to know exactly why it works. I just need to implement the mechanics of it, and then so I can effectively teach this playstyle. I can effectively teach why this playstyle is good. I can expect to teach the intricacies of it, and I'll be teaching it to myself, so I can teach it to others. So that's that's just a little update that I'm going to be teaching this playstyle, the playstyle DPSstanky. Basically, the playstyle where Lucio is no longer really a support; he's more of a offensive utility character, offensive support, kind of like in the same vein as Sombra. Because he's going out and his relationship is to the enemy as opposed to his allies. I don't like this playstyle. I feel like this Lucio isn't a support. So this may actually turn me off to Lucio. Like seeing that the way to be most effective on Lucio is to basically be a DPS. It really turns me off to the character. If I wanted to play an assault character, if I wanted to play DPS, I just play Genji. So I might actually start playing Lucio a little bit less, even though I'm going to be teaching people how to play this. And just one last note I did want to make as a final little addition to what I've been saying is the recent changes to the game, to Overwatch, to the way Ultimate's charged, to the new nerf to Lucio's healing has really made me start shifting my playstyle a little bit to compensate for these changes. As in, I'm going to be doing damage a lot, encouraging my viewers to do damage a lot more in order to build that Ultimate. I'm going to be encouraging my viewers to use their speed buff a lot more because their healing is less effective. So that's another thing that's gonna just propel me to start shifting my gameplay, my style, and what I teach in terms of Lucio to be more in line with DPSstanky. Even those things, even the changes to the ultimate charge, the change to Lucio's heal. It will be even useful for those who still want to play a more supporty Lucio style if they don't want to play the DPS Lucio style. Because this is a play style, and you don't have to play this play style because you can still rise. You can still get the Grandmaster if you pair with reliable DPS players or a reliable tank. So or a tank or DPS player who are good and you coordinate with. Okay, so here's the thing about Lucio's kit. When you're playing a support Lucio, when you're playing back, when you're doing damage, when you're seeing everything, when you're focusing most of your attention on what your team is doing so you can enable them, supporting your team, as opposed to the DPS Lucio, when you're actually supporting your team, you get a lot of value. You really up the effectiveness of your team who really uses the thing you provide. So if your team is coordinated, if they're listening to your callouts, if they're using your speed buff as you use it, if they're listening to the cooldown, if you announce the cooldown of your healing, if they're listening to that, if they're just using everything that you have to provide, you'll really up the effectiveness. Like let's say for example that your team is a 70 out of 100 in skill. Them paying attention to what you call out could put them at a 95 out of 100 just because they are able to use it. That Genji waits for your speed amp to be on cooldown, and then he goes in, and then he waits for you to have your ultimate, and then he combines, stuff like that. Or that Genji knows that you have your amp off cooldown, like it's 5 seconds before your amp is ready. So he waits a little bit, waits for your amp, and then goes in, knowing that you'll have your heal or speed amp to back him up if he needs help. So things like that. But the worse your team is, the less you'll get out of a support Lucio. Because let's say your team is a 30 and they're not listening to you and they're not using your kit and they're not paying attention to your speed buff and they're not paying attention to your heal buff. You're probably only gonna get like, you're probably only gonna make your team like a 35. The worse your team is, the less your team listens to you, the less your team is coordinated, the less your team is gonna get out of support Lucio. That's when you should be playing DPS Lucio. I mean, you know, but you can play support Lucio if your team is very coordinated, which again is why you see that support Lucio style is played in tournaments. You know, tournament Lucios aren't playing like this. They're playing back. They're playing coordinated. They're making sure they're making sure they're alive. They're making sure they're providing their auras to every teammate. They're making sure they're coordinating exactly. But you know, he's just, again, focusing on the enemy. So because of the changes, because of the relationship to your teammates, depending on how coordinated they are, I'm going to be, the DPS Lucio playstyle is really going to be useful to a lot of people in a lot of situations. So that's why I'm going to be teaching it. Though I still encourage people to group up with good teammates and start playing it. And also continue to play support Lucio, because that's just as fun. And it can be just as viable if you have teammates that are willing to work with you. So that was my take on the recent video that DPSstanky just released on Reddit and on his YouTube. It's called Vindication. I'll link the description to that video in the description of this video. Those are my thoughts. Hopefully I didn't repeat myself too much, even though I did. So this has been Professor Ganymede. Thanks for watching. Class dismissed.